How did you get to television? Did somebody pick up a book and say, we got to get this guy on TV? Or did you have somebody help you connect with the right people?
One of the producers of the first show I was on, and that was last year, was a fan of my podcast. And she's like, I love your voice. You could tell a good story. And you've got, the credentials. You were a big city cop for 25 years. So, you know what you're talking about. And then another, I just finished up a film documentary over in England, and that is because of the podcast. Whereas I had a British journalist on and a retired, I think, detective constable that broke this like cold case that was like 20 some years old. It was like a real big deal. So I had them on, and this British journalist is friends with somebody that was doing a true crime documentary. And it's like, hey, I've got an American guy that you would love, because it was about a corrupt New York City cop. That it was like a murder for hire thing. She was paying her boyfriend to go kill her husband. So I was a part of that project, and none of these things would have ever happened if I didn't have the podcast.
Yeah. I want to say the same thing. So, because I think this is a big takeaway for the listener. I ended up launching a podcast, my first one, about 10 years ago. And as I was launching that show, it was kind of nerve-wracking. I'm not, now I am. It's been 10 years, but prior to that, I learned this over time, but I've always been afraid to do public speaking. I've been afraid to put my voice out there.
And everybody else, right?
I think my voice sounds funny. I hear my voice sounding a certain way, but then when I hear it, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like me. That doesn't sound good. And, also I stumble on some words every now and again. I still do. But back then it was even worse. And I would say and I still ask questions that it's like 5 questions in one. I'm like, so blah, blah, blah. And I'll probably answer a few of your questions. So that was pretty tough for me. However, I got the first podcast started. And this is for the listener. After a while, I started going and getting featured in other places. Now, had I have just been an expert, listen to this so carefully, write it down. If I had just been an expert in the thing that I was saying I was an expert in, and that's the only thing, I wouldn't have gotten that much publicity. But because I was also a thought leader, because I didn't have a book, but if you've got a book, if you've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube, if you host conferences, if you become a thought leader, now everybody else wants to feature you. It is so strange how that works and how that is real. But it is real. So I started going to all of these conferences, and I would be there for free. I would be there flown in. I would be there speaking on the stage. So I was able to get a bunch of credibility and just eyeballs and earballs on what I was doing, simply because I was a thought leader, simply because I didn't have a book, but if I had a book, or I did have a podcast, or if I didn't have a YouTube back then, but if I've got some type of thought leadership platform, awesome. It helps other people talk about you when you're not in the room. And it also helps them feel like if they feature you, they might get featured somehow as well. And so there's all of that. Plus the squeaky wheel is the wheel that gets the grease. You've got 4 wheels. Only one of them squeaks. Do you go and spend the time and extra effort to put WD-40 on those other 3 wheels? No. You just try to correct the one that's the loudest. So you become the podcaster. You are the podcaster. Now you're getting put in front of other people, and people want to feature you. So Patrick said he probably wouldn't have been on TV if it wasn't for his podcast. And I want you to be thinking of that too. Use your podcast to help you get in front of the most amount of people. Patrick, let's talk about your show. being a show, and I know you got a book called Cops and Writers, right? You've got the book and you've got
I've
the
got
podcast.
2 of them. Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about the show Cops and Writers and the premise around it. I know I would like for you to just explain what it is and how it works to the listener.
What I do is I get guests on my show that are most of them are retired law enforcement. Some are still active that have a great story to tell, a compelling story. And most of them have written books.